Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This video will teach you how to play the basics of the violin in 25 bite-sized lessons. These videos are for anyone who is completely new to the violin and music in general and want to learn how to play the violin in their own time without being overwhelmed with too much information. If you want to view these lessons in their original elongated form, you can access them by clicking the link under this video. This content is part of my 1 to 30 violin course, which guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to an accomplished violinist in just 30 lessons. All links can be found in the description bar underneath these videos. Now, not all of these lessons will be interactive. Some will just be explaining a particular technique or music theory, and an icon will appear on the screen to show you whether it will be interactive or a theoretical learning session. At the beginning of each video, information will pop up on the screen to tell you what equipment and PDF printouts you will require for that lesson. Everybody ready? Let's begin. Okay, so in lesson 10 and onwards, we're going to start learning about the strings. Now that we've learned all the other kind of basics of the violin, now we're going to start into the main focus of learning to play the violin and the strings. But the first thing we need to know is where the open strings are, and I've broken this down into more bite-sized sections so that it's not confusing, because all of this information is cumulative information. You cannot move on to the next lesson until you've understood the previous lesson or the lesson that we're on. So this is why I've broken down this particular part into much smaller lessons so that you understand. Do not move on until you understand this part. So we're going to be talking about the open strings, and you're going to need to print out or have your how to read violin music PDF sheet that I've got here. Now, this is just a very quick and simple lesson, but do not move on to the next one until you've understood this. The 4 open strings. Now, what we need to know first of all is the 4 open strings on the violin. The open strings are these ones here. So they're not involving any fingers at all. They're just the open strings. E, A, D and G. Now the first thing is that you need to remember the order of those strings. Which string is what? Test yourself, get someone to point to a string, test yourself, that kind of thing. So you have to know what these 4 strings are. If you do not know that, find a way to learn them. Do not move on until you do. And the second thing you need to know is where those are on the sheet music, because we're going to start reading sheet music and we're going to start learning and playing some exercises. So if you have a look at this sheet here, you'll see the 4 open strings for each string on the sheet music are the first notes that we've got here. So these are all the notes that we've got on the E string, the notes we've got on the A, the notes we've got on the D, and the notes we've got on the G. Now, if we play the open G string, then it looks like this one here. If we play the open D string, it looks like this note here. The open A is here and the open E is here. Now again, this is something that you need to remember. This is something you need to know. We're going to cement that information in just a second when we actually start playing the open string exercises, but you do need to know where those 4 notes are. And if you use this sheet to refer to as we're adding in the next note on, you'll find that this sheet will help you. And the little chart that we've just got here on the right hand side is just showing you reflectively on the violin where those notes are. So an open G we've just indicated with, you know, the G at the top there. That is the open string. There's no finger. It's just the easiest way to indicate that is an open G. And then of course when we come to the first finger, it's going to look like this on the sheet music, and on the violin it's going to look like it's here. The second finger will look like this on the G string on the sheet music. The second finger is going to be there, and so on and so on. So make sure that you understand the 4 open strings and make sure that you can recognize where the 4 open strings are on this sheet first before we move on to the next lesson.